Prime Time, hour number one of our 2-hour extravaganza on this wild, wacky Wednesday, wonderful evening. Yours truly, Scott Wetzel, along with Dave Sharapan. How about that, Dave? Until 10 p.m. Eastern Time as we cover and watch and, more importantly, bet on the world of sports. Well, what a busy night. You know, not that much on the slate, but we got plenty of things to gamble on. We got college basketball. We got some NHL news. We got some NBA news. We got the Wetzel Black Cloud. We got same-game parlays. We got a great betting system in play tonight. And, of course, we also have the big news coming out of college football as Nicky Quick decides apparently to hang him up, step away at the age of 72. And now let the speculation begin on who's going to be the next Alabama head coach. We'll break it down and maybe a little fun with Dave and see if he could post some odds on the top, 5 candidates, 6 candidates that we're all going to be talking about. All these so-called insiders going to be like, oh, yeah, I know. You don't know. You just know that he's his former assistant, so it makes sense. So with that, Mr. Sharapan, what's going on, Dave? How are you tonight, bud?
What's up, sir? Good to see you. Wacky Wednesday, walk-off Wednesday. You didn't put in your retirement papers yet, did you? Like, it seems like between Carroll and now Saban, what's going on? You're good to go, right? You're staying. You're not leaving yet, are you?
Yeah, I think it would be the other way around. It wouldn't be me quitting. It would be them firing me. That's generally how it goes. Oh. Yeah. And we're not. I'm personally ready for that, but the Bills are not. The Bills are keeping me out there, so let's hope not.
Okay,
but
good.
No, But I am waiting. We were joking. I am waiting for Bill Belichick, right, for New England to make an announcement. We got Pete Carroll this afternoon.
Tomorrow.
He gets trumped by Nicky Quick tonight, and wouldn't it be wouldn't it be funny if the New England Patriots made an announcement saying Belichick is out, or Belichick announced he was going to retire and. Kind of digging at Nicky Quick, like, yeah, you gave me Mac Jones, huh? All right, I'll get even with you somewhere along the line for giving me Mac Jones. I'll you know what? I'll one-up you. I quit. How about that?
That's tomorrow. Stay tuned. We'll be here tomorrow, same time, same channel, same producers, everything, different graphics. But, yeah, tomorrow Belichick's announcement's coming. It's crazy. And I posed a question on Twitter, on my Twitter at SportsBKKSig. I'll pose it to you right now. If we're running a book and we put up odds the day after Michigan wins against Washington on all the teams, and obviously Alabama's in the top 5, 8-1, somewhere around that neighborhood, 8-1 to win it all, and Saban announces his retirement today, and I turn to you and say, Wetzel, what are we doing? Right? There it is. Okay? Nick Saban is retiring. And I turn to you, say, what do we move it to? We're moving the number, right? Like, I asked a simple question. Would you move it or leave it? Because that's a lot of times what you do as a risk guy, which I did for a long, long time in the book. You move the number or do you leave it right now? Because there's a lot of people leaving that school. Nick's not the only one. 5-star recruits are running. They're going somewhere else. They don't even know who the coach is going to be. Jack, Matty G, all the boys helping us. We would move the number, right, Scott? Like if they were 8-1, we would move the number. I would move it to 15 immediately. I would double it because I don't know who's going to be the coach. But I know one thing. They're not winning the national championship next year. No way.
Yeah. The good thing about this, though, from the book standpoint, is you can't lose, right? If you're not going from 8, boy, we better bump it up, or you're not going from 15 and say, oh my God, they just got 12, 5-star recruits. If we hand this out at 15-1, we're going to get killed. We got to lower it to 8. It's the other way around. If you don't move it, and then people still bet it, great. If they don't bet it, well, they don't bet it. It's not like, you got to, the idea for you to move it, right, is to continue to get action on Alabama. You might not get action on Alabama at 8-1, so you're going to move it up to keep the attraction there. I would move it because you said it, right? If people are leaving. It's not the coach, per se. It's part of it. It's, all these kids, they might be waiting around a couple of days, but with the transportal situation as it is now, right? Every single college coaches calling up these kids' parents and saying, come to us, come to us. I mean, they got to make a decision pretty quickly, right? Or at least send some rumors out there within the next day. Literally within the next day, there's got to be some rumors tomorrow. It's either going to be Dabo or it's going to be this guy or that guy, right?
Yeah, there has to be. This is the way they recruited against Joe at Penn State for the last 10 years that he was there. We used to hear that all the time from people that were either associated with the school or up there. They're telling them, hey, Jopa's only going to be there 2 more years. You don't want to go there because you're only going to, he's only going to get him for 2 years. Well, now you can say, Saban's not there. Do you want to go to Alabama? Well, you can come here. We're going to be here. Now, the transfer portal has changed all of that narrative, but with the amount of turnover, you could get Vince Lombardi to come back. It's the whole landscape has changed. And, Belichick's leaving New England. He's going to go to Alabama. No. Like, who are you going to go get that you're going to go, oh, everything's going to be fine. Relax. Everybody breathe. Everything's going to be fine. We're going to win 12 games again. We're going to play against Georgia for the SEC championship. There's a 12-team playoff. We're going to get in that. I mean, it's a lot of change. And so the way it was done, Scott, do you think he told them before? Or was this decision literally, I lost to Michigan. I don't like this NIL stuff. I'm 72. I still got a nice head of hair. I got these car dealerships. I'm good. And he just told them last week or this week.
I don't know. Decisions like that can't come overnight, right? They just can't. So, but, there's quotes of him in November saying he feels fine and he's ready to coach for a long time and this, that, and what have you. So, unless he was lying, which maybe he was, it doesn't seem like this was something that was considered. Although, I'll throw the Tom Brady thing out there, right? I mean, that's the last guy that, we kind of thought was going to play or coach forever. And even though Brady retired once and came back, there was no inclination about Brady all of a sudden retiring. I thought it was a joke when I heard it the second time. I was like, really? No one even talked about that. So that he kept it a secret, I guess. But yeah. But I will say this. I told this to Ranieri on Game Time Decisions, right? If you're Alabama, you must have given him carte blanche. Here's a blank check. Do whatever you want. You don't have to do anything. We'll do it all for you. You just show up on Saturdays. Let us still say you're our head coach for another year or two, and then we'll go from there. And he apparently still said no.
Sometimes you just, I guess the best move is to walk away. And only Nick knows, but the landscape of college football is changing daily. And This is a big one. We'll talk about maybe who will go. Can't wait to see. I cannot wait to see.
I got one. I got a couple surprises. We'll talk when we come back.
Fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, a Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev.
Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite.
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
The wife said we're getting the Stanley Cups, and now they got Stanley Cups in West Virginia.
Yep. They're doing $300 million gross a year in sales.
Listen, man, we don't need that much, man.
They're
I'll
crushing
take
it.
a little piece of the Stanley Cup. I would drink from the Stanley Cup every day. I'll have inscribed on there. We'll get our BVB inscribed.
Yeah.
Stanley Cups.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, your mind. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
What did you think when you saw Lawrence on 3rd and 4th down, those 2 plays?
When you have a meltdown like the Jaguars had, the clear favorite coming into the season, we all know that, and they choke like they did, and they have this fall like they did, people are going to question what's wrong with Trevor Lawrence. He had a regression. Not a major one, but he was not as good as last season. What's happened to the play calling?
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Yay, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
InGame Live, PrimeTime. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Here's the way I would do it. I would put, if I'm doing a list, Lane, Dan Lanning, Dion, and then I guess it's, if you, Dabo and Sark, I think are right there. I mean, early on, I don't want anybody else right now. I wouldn't want, who else you going to get? Who else is, I don't want DeBoer. They got to, whoever you get to coach Alabama, it's not just the X's and O's. They have to handle the pressure. It's almost like coaching in New York, right? We talk about being a quarterback or a coach in the New York area. And the pressure is you win now or out the door. There is no tomorrow at Alabama. They're not expecting you because Nick Saban walks out the door to go 8-4 in the SEC next year. So, you keep that train rolling. It's 11 or 1 or bust.
There you go. There's our boy Lisi on with Carver filling in for Scott Farrell today. So, yeah, listen, David, it doesn't take a genius, right, to figure out who the most logical choices are. You just look and see who the former Alabama assistants are, and you figure those will be the ones that, are going to get first crack at this thing. But, a couple of things. One, you do have to make a decision. You got to make it quick. You don't have all day, because these kids are all going to be bombarded, like we talked about before the break, from other coaches around the country. Come to us, because you don't know who's going to be your head coach. So you got to make a decision. You'd like it to be a guy that knows what it means to be an Alabama head coach. And it's a dangerous spot because, people think, with a short memory, Alabama's always been great. And no, they were not. They were a mediocre franchise, if you will, before Nicky Quick got there. He really turned them back around. There were a lot of mediocre years. And David Shula had a pretty good year, or was it Mike Shula? One of the two. Had a pretty good year, but whatever, same family. But it wasn't Don, I'll tell you that. So, that thing can fall pretty quickly. I think, honestly, we can throw out a lot of fun names. Whether it's Dan Lanning, head coach of Oregon, used to be at Alabama. Lane Kiffin's going to get a lot of pub. Even Brian Daboll with the Giants used to be down in Alabama. But I would be surprised if it didn't come down to one of these three.
Whoa.
Lane Kiffin would be the third choice. And I don't know if they really want Lane to be the face of the franchise. He's a little too.
Wait, are you working? You're working from the bottom up here, the three.
Right. Right.
Okay. So Lane Kiffin. All right.
Lane Kiffin would be the third one. The next one is the one I think that would do the best is Kirby Smart. Now, I can hear people say, why would Kirby Smart leave Georgia? Well, because he was an Alabama assistant. Him and Nicky Quick actually got along. He kind of endorsed him taking the Georgia job, unlike some of the other assistant coaches. And I could see him saying, yeah, okay, you know what? I'm cool with that. You know, I got enough kids that'll transfer in, that'll transfer out, so no big deal. And then the one I think ultimately that will get it is Dabo Swinney at Clemson. Went to school at Georgia, didn't coach at Alabama, but went to school at Georgia, and people have always speculated over the years, Dave, that this was his dream job. He was waiting for the job to open up. That's why he didn't go anywhere else, kind of like a Harbaugh at Michigan situation. I do think it's going to be Dabo. And then Dabo, remember this year, got in a fight with that the radio guy who – there was a radio show that he was doing, and a caller called up, and he kept him on the air for like 5 minutes. And he was ripping Dabo, and Dabo fought back, saying, the Clemson fans are spoiled and this and that. And I just wonder if he was kind of greasing his outs at Clemson. So those are the top three, and I think it will be Swinney.
Okay. I got a dear friend watching the show right now. He's a big fan of yours, too. Double D, I call him, David. And he's watching. What about Urban Meyer? He threw that one out. Like, does Urban Meyer get back out of the TV booth into the SEC again? He coached in Florida. They might buy that whole narrative. I don't think it could be somebody that's already somewhere that's established. You know, like Lacey said, Sark. That sounds great. Sark's at Texas. Like,
why would he leave?
Kirby Smart, that sounds great. He's got the kingdom of all kingdoms at Georgia. Now, I mean, do you want to live in Alabama? Is that why you would want to go? There has to be a lifestyle change. He's got everything that he needs at Georgia. It's just in the Georgia Bulldogs uniforms. That'd be the ultimate heel turn. That would be the ultimate Benedict Arnold.
That would be great.
For you kids that don't know what I'm talking about, go Google Benedict Arnold. That would, I mean, like, he's going to leave Georgia after what he's done to go do that? I mean, you know, Double D's texted me these names right now. It's pretty funny. I mean, do you think that Deion's not going? Deion Sanders is not going.
I was going to mention that.
Stop.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah. Stop.
Come on.
Yeah. Come on. They're not. Alabama
not
is not hiring Deion Sanders, Joe. I mean, come on, please. Lacey. I love you, brother, but come on.
Yeah,
how
I don't
about Bill
think so.
Belichick? Wouldn't that be funny? And now it's not going to happen either. But Patriots fire Belichick and he takes the Alabama job. That would be hysterical.
That would be funny.
There's a lot of goofy things you could come up with, but
yeah, a lot of great things. Someone said to me earlier today on BVB in the chat, well, they could, you know, what if it's James Franklin? James Franklin's going to take the leap from Penn State. They're going to hire him down there. They're not hiring James Franklin. No way. Yeah. Who? But like,
they can't bring in a guy that can't win a big game. Why would they do that? You know, that'd be an instant turnoff.
I mean, truth, but that was you know, I went to Penn State. That was kind of I saw what you did there.
You're the same guy.
That's okay.
By the way, shame on me. Really bad job on my part last night. I left the show. I was like, I can't believe I really didn't. You know, because I've been out of it this weekend driving up to Boston. So I'm just, you know, I'm kind of a couple days behind. But you sat there for 2 hours with a Buffalo Bills jersey on. And
I did.
Your Buffalo Bills are taking on your beloved Pittsburgh Steelers, by the way.
I know.
What? I cannot believe I didn't bring that up.
I can't believe you didn't.
If you could do that, I could bring James Franklin up.
What
was the reason for that?
You cannot see the monitor from where you're at in the studio.
Yeah.
I'm convinced you hear me, and you can see a silhouette of me, but you can't see the details. I was waiting all night for you to bring up the fact that I was wearing the enemy's gear last night because it's the biggest spread, lowest total. The Bills are just going to crush the Steelers. TJ Watt's not playing. Mason Rudolph's going to go to Buffalo and win a game. Come on, Dave. You can't be serious. You're the biggest homer on here, bigger than Pharrell, bigger than Blewett. I'm actually from Pittsburgh along with Pharrell. Blewett wants to be, and he went to a game this year. He wears that tie, so he thinks he's in the club rooting for the Steelers. It's all good. It's okay. But the fact that you didn't see it, I'm thinking it might be time to go get an eye exam. I'm just saying. I'm not saying.
I thought you were wearing the Detroit Pistons cap on tonight, so that shows you how far my monitor is.
That's what I mean. This is the Clipper stuff. This is the new school Clipper stuff. This is the old school Clippers logo. LAC
there you go.
Has nothing to do with the Pistons. The Pistons are getting smoked by the San Antonio Spurs. Can you believe that the San Antonio Spurs were minus points on the road today?
On the road.
I've never seen anything like this, Wetzel. It's been a long, long time since we've seen this in the NBA, where the bad team, like the worst team, they were home favorites against the Jazz, at least, and they lost, but they were favored. They're dogs at home against the Spurs, and they're getting crushed. They're down by 12 at halftime.
Wow. That's embarrassing. We pointed out they have nothing but first-round draft choices in their starting lineup. And some of these guys, yes, are young first-year play, but some of these guys have been in the league, 2-3 years. I mean, they really just should not be this bad.
No.
And they got a head coach they're locked into. Wow. All right, we'll take a look at some of the games. We've got our prop lock of the century coming up tonight.
Fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev. Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division favorite.
I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
The wife said we're getting the Stanley Cups, and now they got Stanley Cups in West Virginia.
Yep. They're doing $300 million gross a year in sales.
Listen, man, we don't need that much, man.
They're crushing
I'll take a little piece of the Stanley Cup. I would drink from the Stanley Cup every day. I'll have inscribed on there. We'll get our BVB inscribed.
Yeah.
Stanley Cups.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
What did you think when you saw Lawrence on 3rd and 4th down, those two plays?
When you have a meltdown like the Jaguars have, the clear favorite coming into the season, we all know that, and they choke like they did, and they have this fall like they did, people are going to question what's wrong with Trevor Lawrence. He had a regression this season. Not a major one, but he was not as good as last season. What's happened to the play calling?
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Yay, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
InGame Live, PrimeTime. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
that fourth quarter? What could you?
Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Doug. That's outrageous. What happened tonight? This is completely BS. This is shame. Shame for the referees, shame for the league to allow this. 23 free throws for them, and we get 2 free throws in the fourth quarter. Like, how to play the game. I understand respect for all stars and all of that, but we have star players on our team as well. How's possible that Scotty Barnes, who is all-star caliber player in this league, he goes every single time to the rim with force and trying to get to the rim without flopping and not trying to get foul calls. He gets 2 free throws for the whole game. How's that possible? How are you going to explain that to me? They had to win tonight? If that's the case, just let us know so we don't show up for the game. Just give them a win. But that was not fair tonight. And this is not happening first time for us. Scotty Barnes is going to be all-star. He's going to be the face of this league. And what's happening over here during whole season, I've been calling it back, it's a complete crap.
Coach, do you feel like you're getting any explanations at all? That offensive foul, did you see, get any explanation?
No, there is no explanation. They just come up there, they review and they see what they want to see. They don't want to hear us what we got to say. They don't want to hear the players. They don't just want to protect us. Over the game, they got 36 free throws, 23 free throws in the fourth quarter. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? How are we supposed to play?
Is this a one-off, or do you feel this has been happening to your team a lot throughout the season?
It's happening a lot. But I'm telling our guys, be professional. Keep fighting. Keep going for the next one. But until when? For how long? Thank you.
Oh, that's great. That is great. You know, I can't remember, Dave, another rant about officiating that went as long as that one. You know, maybe we could come up with some. Certainly rants, right? But most rants, when you think about it, you know, the Dennis Green, we know who the Bears were. We let them off the hook. You know, it's generally a rant about your own team playing lousy, a particular player being lousy, the situation being lousy, not the officials for that long. Most coaches are as gutless can be, right? They'll yell and scream on the court, and then they get in front of a microphone and say, well, you know, that's not the only reason why we lost, and we can't blame it on the, you know, all this mumbo-jumbo, right? But this guy just said, hell no. You know what? I'm going on a 2-minute rant about how the officials suck in the NBA, and they're biased towards LeBron. Oh, that's great. You know, they don't need any more Raptor fans around SportsGrid, obviously, but you know what? I'm kind of rooting for that.
So I'm watching the game last night after we finished the show, and I'm watching the fourth quarter with the kids, my wife, and they keep calling fouls on Toronto. It was over and over and over. And even my 9-year-old goes, Daddy, do they just call fouls on the Raptors every time now? And I said, I don't know what's going on. So she's 9 and could see it. I watched the game. They hit a buzzer beater to lose by 1. Game flies over the total. And I watched the post game, and I'm not going to lie, I was ready to run through a wall. I want that guy on my team.
Yes.
I want that guy fighting for, you know, his guys. Let's go. And when he sat down and he did this neck roll thing, he got loose, and he said, I'm ready. And he looked right at this guy, Doug, and whenever Doug teed up that question, he went, thank you, Doug. Thank you, Doug. This is complete crap. And we have all-star players too. And it was great. I watched it 10 times last night. I tried to memorize it. I actually did part of it today on the BVB. You watched the show later.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was practicing. I was trying my best. And Darko, I became a fan. When guys fight for – you instantly won the locker room. You instantly won the fan base. And listen, when you watch the game, even if you're a neutral party, you're going, he's onto something. I mean, that was bad. And talking about Barnes not getting no calls and those other guys getting every call, flopping and everything else.
Yeah,
I love it. I mean, he got it all out. I don't know. They were texting me this morning, a couple guys are like, how much do you think that fine is? I think the biggest fine for going after the officials in the NBA is $30,000. Might be 50,000. It's
No,
at
it's
least
got to be more than that.
50,000.
Yo, it's
Well,
got to be six figures, I think.
From a player or a coach. I don't think there was ever a six-figure one. I don't know. We can have the boys look while we're doing a show. I don't think it was a six-figure fine because they usually stop, like you said. They never go, they give them a little slap, 25,000, 30,000, stop saying that about the officials after the game. But he let everybody know. And now they got a game tonight against the Clippers. And I thought Wetzel's going to have a play. There's no question in my mind that something's coming out of that. Is it?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Time for the Wetzel Black Cloud. This is just a no-brainer. This is just an absolute no-brainer. After watching that rant, if I told you had to play one prop tonight, over, I probably don't even have to give you any hints, but if I said you were going to play over on points for one particular player, I mean, it's a no-brainer, right? I mean, we got to go over Scotty Barnes. I mean, how in the world is this guy not going to get to the free throw line 150 times tonight? Now, the boys in Vegas wised up. They got notice of our Black Cloud. They bumped it up to 19.5. But that's okay because it doesn't make any sense, the numbers here. That they really just, they left their pants down. There is absolutely, I know we say this all the time, Dave, but there is no way this can lose tonight unless they foul him out and they get ticked off at the coach. I don't think they will. I think they feel sorry for the coach. But there's always unless, when it comes to gambling. So
hold on.
The dude's got 19.5 points now, right? 18.5 points. All right, so we need 20. He averages over 20. Averages 21 a game.
Okay.
He's had 20 or more points in. You're giving us the ghetto look there. He's had 20 or more.
No. I put the hood up for the rain for the black cloud of the night.
I like that.
Yesterday,
umbrella. I should get the umbrella.
Yeah.
We got to look some props
I don't
here.
like opening an umbrella indoors. It's a very superstitious thing. But I put the hood up, in case the rain comes down like it did last night. You had the Calgary Flames, Black Cloud play tonight. No problem. I mean, it was a nerve-wracking early start, but then it ended up being no problem. So this one can't lose. This is.
He's had 20 or more points in 8 of his last 9 games. He's had 20 or more points in 16 of his last 19 games. 16 and 3.
How does this lose?
How does this lose with the officials now trying to throw Toronto a bone, right? I mean, and I love Toronto too. The line's going the wrong way, but that, boys in Vegas don't always smart. It's going up to 11, but you don't think that Raptors team is going to be all pumped up to play for the head coach? And I do think the officials will side with Toronto. They don't want bad publicity, right? They don't want the head coach yelling and screaming again tonight. I mean, listen, 23-2 in fouls. And that doesn't even include, Dave, the 5 fouls that they got to get to the 23 fouls to be in the bonus. I mean, they have to. They've got to give Toronto every break in the world. And when Barnes gets called out by his head coach in a positive light, you don't think this guy's going to be all pumped up to play tonight? I would be, out of all the Black Cloud plays, this is like the lock of the millennium. I couldn't spell millennium, so I said century. So, lock of the century. I want to send it out on Twitter.
You're in the program now. You're an official. You're a basketball official. Put yourself in the shoes of these guys taking the court tonight. Everybody's looking at you. Everybody's wondering, geez, they really called all those fouls against them in the fourth quarter. 23-2 in one quarter. That was the fourth quarter. I didn't even notice enough minutes to call 23 fouls. That's almost every single time down the court. That's a foul. Yeah. So, you're the official tonight. You knew what happened yesterday. You saw Darko. You lacing up the shoes today, getting the whistle ready to go. Are you going, I'm going to leave him. I'm going to leave him go a little bit. I mean, are you going to have a loose whistle tonight? I think you got more scrutiny than ever. You're going to be on everything.
I am, but I'm going to be more on the Clippers than I am Toronto. I'll let things slide with Toronto tonight. Yeah, we're officials. It's It's like a radio or TV host. We're all jealous. We really want to be athletes, right? There's a pecking order in life. The athlete wants to be the singer. The sports talk show host wants to be the athlete. The referee wants to be the coach. So we all kind of I want to get along with Darko. I want to be his buddy tonight. I'm going to show him that we're not all that bad. So
listen, the way Darko spoke, I want to get along with Darko too. I mean, Darko looks like he could take you. Darko looks like he could handle himself pretty good. I don't want to cross Darko. The research department, i.e. Matty G, just sent the text. Steve Kerr one time got fined $25,000 for his public criticism of officiating, and Monty Williams got fined $20,000 one time. So those are the coach fines.
You're right.
I believe Van Fleet got fined $30,000 for his tirade last year on the same trip to L.A. He named the official by name and dropped a few F-bombs. It was unbelievable. I have that clip too.
Really?
I'm saving that one. But, we can't play that one here. But I think that's a 50 dimer.
That's what I'm thinking. 50,000, right? Well spent. Well spent money.
A lot of fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, a Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev. Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
The wife said we're getting the Stanley Cups, and now they got Stanley Cups in West Virginia.
Yep. They're doing $300 million gross a year in sales.
Listen, man, we don't need that much, man.
They're crushing
I'll take
it.
a little piece of the Stanley Cup. I would drink from the Stanley Cup every day. I'll have inscribed on there. BV. We'll get our BVB inscribed.
Yeah.
Stanley Cups.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
What did you think when you saw Lawrence on 3rd and 4th down, those two plays?
When you have a meltdown like the Jaguars have, the clear favorite coming into the season, we all know that, and they choke like they did, and they have this fall like they did, people are going to question what's wrong with Trevor Lawrence. He had a regression. Not a major one, but he was not as good as last season. What's happened to the play calling?
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Yay, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
InGame Live, PrimeTime. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back InGame Live. Prime time here on the grid, 40 past the hour. David and I were talking during the break about one last thing on Darko here before we get to the games. You know, it would have been interesting if one of the reporters would have had enough guts, Dave, to just say, you know, with all those fouls being called against the Lakers, you know, are you suggesting that the game wasn't on the up and up? Or is it with just the officials are just bad? You know, you give them an out by saying, or are they just bad? And let him go into a rant again about how they suck if he wanted to. But who knows? You know, maybe he would have said, you never know, 23 true, you tell me, you know, one of those things. But
right, yeah.
That takes some guts to do that.
He wouldn't have done that. He got out what he needed to get out, and you could tell by that last part of that last question he was done. He just needed an out, like, I think I need to leave right now and just get up and walk off. So that's the way those things end. As an official now, do you think the officials need to go into a press conference environment like that and answer those questions? At some point, like the pool reporter thing is one thing, and I don't feel like they do it after every game. But is there a point we're going to come in big time sports like this, whether it's NFL, NBA, I guess Major League Baseball, hockey officials don't get the scrutiny they used to. I mean, between Koharski and Kerry Frazier and all those guys that we know, I don't know if I want them even talking like that. Now it's
have another donut.
Yeah.
Have another donut.
Do
you
we
fat
need
pig.
to?
Oh, that's great.
Right? You remember that one? That was unbelievable. Do we need to ask? Do we need to put them in front of the media to answer questions like that?
I think it's only a matter of time. You know, when you got people gambling and stuff, and I think they would do it, you know, not to expose the referees or just, you know, to be open. You know, okay, yeah, you know what, you want to talk to the ref on a couple of calls? Go ahead. You know, I think they've done that with this 2-minute report type of thing. And as long as they're transparent on it, you know, just be open about it. Listen, you're going to miss calls. You just are, you know, and I think people have learned to appreciate that a little bit more versus just to shut it down. Nope, you can't talk about the officials. You can't bring up the officials in these press conferences. You can't talk to them. We'll send a pool reporter out and give you a couple of quotes. But, you know, I imagine what they would say, Dave, if they were asked about last night is just, you know what, we don't really keep track of those things. You know, obviously the score table does, but we're refereeing and we're just seeing fouls and we're calling them. Now that's BS. As a good official, you're supposed to kind of even the score because you could call a foul at every single play in the NBA. So you are supposed to, But that's what they'll probably say. We just, you know, we don't keep track of that. So it just happened to be that's how it was. You know, they committed more fouls.
You can look up at this gigantic scoreboard, Wetzel, and see the team fouls and on all the boards around. Like, don't tell me you don't keep track of it. You can see, you know, you're reffing the game. Do you have a different appreciation for what they do? I think if people went through the ref classes and went out there and tried to ref a high school game, let alone, you know, lower divisions, younger kids, but like something competitive like that, I think you have to have an appreciation for what they do, right? It's a hard job, is it not?
Yeah. It's very hard. Very hard. I tell you, I appreciate football even more, but basketball as well. And the thing that you don't realize or appreciate is how quick these players are. Like, even from girls to boys high school is like night and day. Like, they asked, do I want to do boys? And I'm like, you know what? No, I don't. I see some of these boys. When I went to my daughter's basketball games, you know, then they would generally like girls play first, then boys. These high school kids are like 6'4", 6'5", you know, no great athlete, no scholarship, or just like, they're all like, holy fuck, you know, to be able to referee that and get up and down the court. I don't want that headache. That's high school. Could you imagine in the NBA? These guys are all 7 feet, literally. They're athletic as can be. They're running through the roof. You got to get in position. It's very difficult. It really is.
Is basketball the hardest sport? I've had this argument. We've had this argument in the book. I've had this argument at fields. I've had this argument at rinks. Is basketball, of the four majors, football, basketball, baseball, and hockey, is basketball the hardest sport to officiate?
I think so. I think so. Just
I think
because
so.
they're better athletes. It's continuous play, which is huge. Unlike baseball, football, where you stop and everything. Hockey a little different, but and you get fouls. It's a physical sport. First thing they told you, like it is a physical sport. Basketball's a physical sport, so people are going to bang into each other. It doesn't mean it's a foul. But to be able to get up and down the court and look, you're basically, the officials are 6 feet if they're lucky, and literally these guys are a foot taller than them. I mean, think about standing next to someone that's a foot taller than them. You're looking up here, refereeing. I mean, it's yeah.
I
tough.
think it's the hardest sport because there's so much gray area. When you're watching a guy dribble, it looks like palming, but you don't call it.
Right.
You count that 5-second thing. Sometimes, like, it seems like 5 is 4, and they blow a whistle, and there's no like definitive. What the hell is a charge versus a block? You and I could watch the same exact play. You come with the big blocking call, give me this, and I'm going like this, charge. Like it's so hard. Like a ball is a ball, a strike is a strike when you're doing a plate. Now you may miss a couple here and there, and you may vary up and down, but you have home plate to measure it, and you call balls and strikes. Football is a little bit harder. Hockey, if I slash you and knock your stick out of your hand, it's slashing. If I go like this, it's cross-checking. It seems like basketball is the most vague thing. Like, I'm going to need video of you going over to the scorer's table and saying 2 shots, 42 tripping, or like there's different things. Like, you just make hand motions as a basketball official. What is that? I don't even know what a foul is all the time.
Yeah. They generally tell you, just like make up a foul. I'm like, what? Yeah, I mean, listen, you're hacking the guy in the arm, so you can go with a hack foul or you can just do a push, but there's like generally 2. Hit the guy in the arm or push. Everything is either a push or hit the guy in the arm. Those are the 2 basics. And it is tough. It really, and the key is getting in position. That's the thing. And for these guys, some of these guys, I'm looking at the NBA, some of these guys are like 70 years old refereeing. I mean, it's like, how the hell are you getting up and down the court, man?
Yeah.
Good luck with that. It's not easy.
My uncle did it. My great uncle did it until he was in 71, I believe. He was on the road doing high school games, low-level college games, all the way. I mean, he loved it. He absolutely loved it. And I would go and watch him, and he became a different person on the court. Like he was a bit of a showman, but he was really good at his job, and he loved it. And players knew what they were getting. I think that's all you can ask for when you're watching a game, like whether you're betting on it, whether you're playing in the game, whether you're coaching a game, whether you're watching your kids' games or something. You just want consistency. That's all you want. If you're consistently bad, at least both teams know. If you're consistently good, that's even better. If we know you're going to call more of these, then we're good. Like it's the uncertainty of it all that drives people crazy. And like you can imagine, sitting in a book watching that game last night with the Lakers and the Raptors going, they're going to call foul every time. They're calling a foul every time on the Lakers. I better be betting the Lakers right now. That's what the bettor's thinking.
Did he get any technical fouls? I guess in a close game you don't want to, but
no.
I give the guy credit for being able to maintain his composure during the game, yet not not afterward. He let it all out afterwards. So I guess good job by him. So. All right, we got some NBA tonight. Let's Pistons getting whacked, down 18, end of the third quarter, 95-77. Wow, what a disgrace. Washington trailing Indiana by 11, 89 to now 80 by 9. Got the Teacups. I thought were a big number there. Getting 9.5 at Boston. This is the best team record-wise anyway, David, in the NBA, Eastern and Western Conference, rather, Boston and Minnesota, and it was almost a 10-point spread. If this is an NBA Finals preview, is that what we're going to get expectation-wise? Because that was a monster line, albeit at home, and lo and behold, Minnesota's up 6. You get the Celtics now plus 110 at the end of 3.
No Gobert, no Conley, line steams on Boston. You see what's happening. The T-Wolves are, what do you call them? The teacups? They're the teacups for you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is that what they called them on the phones? Like with Louis the Lip? Was the teacups, or is that a Wetzel special?
That's a Wetzel special. Yeah. That's because they always lose in the postseason. They're the teacups. Until they can win the postseason, it'll be the teacups.
Well, this is fair, at least up to this point. You remember when they won and Pat Bev got up on a table and was almost crying and took his shirt off and threw it into the crowd? That wasn't that long ago. They actually won and had success. Yeah, this is one of those ones where you catch them on a road trip and you see the steam come and you sit in a book and you go, watch this. The teacups will cover the spread. So that's one to look at. The Pistons, I got nothing. I have nothing. I don't know what to even say, do. You can't fix that right now. Washington, Indiana is a dead over, supposed to be, right? No Halliburton. Right. Line got bet down a little bit, close 252. Current in-game numbers, what, 233.5? That's it? Wow. Okay, so big adjustment there. And then Philly and Atlanta, Philly's up 3 at halftime, 64-61. Any thoughts on that one? Atlanta, bad. Sixers, arguably the second best team in the East, along with the New York Knicks. The Knicks are rolling. Again, I don't know if I saw that coming since the trade, but Sixers up 3 at halftime. Play it? That's a play. That's got to be a play. They're great in the third
no
quarter.
Embiid tonight. No Embiid, though, tonight.
That's fine. That's okay. That's all right. That's okay.
Yeah. How about the Warriors losing again? Look at that. Again, they were dogs to New Orleans at home, and they're getting crushed 24-12. First quarter, but
right. Short dogs, though, right?
Yeah.
Wow. No, I'm sorry. That game closed the other way. Wow. That game closed. I just hit refresh. 2.5, 3. Pelicans favored on the road.
Yeah.
At Golden State. How far have the mighty fallen? What is that?
You're home
big time
underdogs to the New Orleans Pelicans now.
Big time
What's
trouble
next?
going on. Yeah. Well, somebody must not be playing, right? Like maybe Steph isn't playing. I don't know. I haven't.
Early start for them. It's kind of a weird start time for them. Right? That's at Golden State.
Steph is playing. Confirmation from Jack. Okay.
Okay.
Did you look at the college stuff tonight? Tennessee's trailing Mississippi State with 3 minutes to go. Big game in the SEC.
I played the under. I knew that line had sucker written all over it. 136.5, two defensive style teams. And it was low scoring at halftime, and they've come out flying in the second half. They're at 129 with nearly 3 minutes left. It's going to go over. I knew it. Yeah. That was the biggie for me and then Louisville and Miami. Look at that. Miami losing to Louisville. Wow. We'll talk about it when we come back.
Fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev. Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
The wife said we're getting the Stanley Cups, and now they got Stanley Cups in West Virginia.
Yep. They're doing $300 million gross a year in sales.
Listen, man, we don't need that much, man.
They're
I'll
crushing
take a little
it.
piece of the Stanley Cup. I would drink from the Stanley Cup every day. I'll have inscribed on there BV. We'll get our BVB inscribed.
Yeah.
Stanley Cups.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
What did you think when you saw Lawrence on 3rd and 4th down, those 2 plays?
When you have a meltdown like the Jaguars have, the clear favorite coming into the season, we all know that, and they choke like they did, and they have this fall like they did, people are going to question what's wrong with Trevor Lawrence. He had a regression. It's not a major one, but he was not as good as last season. What's happened to the play calling?
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Yay, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
InGame Live, PrimeTime. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. It is InGame Live Prime Time, wrapping up hour number 1 with a little SGP, little same game parlay time. All right, well, we're going to use the game we've been talking about quite a bit here, Toronto at the LA Clippers. Now, when I put this in earlier, it was 10. It's up to 11 now on some sites. Might even go higher. Who knows? But you know what? That's okay. More the merrier. I will take the Toronto Raptors getting 10, getting 11, whatever it is for your book against the LA Clippers after last night's tirade by their head coach. I think Toronto's going to come out firing. I think the officials are going to help out Toronto as well. Then you got the Kawhi Leonard against Toronto. Now, most of the Raptor players are gone, but still a little more intrigue for the game as well. But we're going to start with 4-legger. We'll go with Toronto to cover the spread, 10 or 11. And we're going to use Pascal Siakam. I think he's going to have a monster game. I think Barnes will as well, but we'll kind of hedge this with our other prop play of the Selenium. We're going to go 20 points for Siakam. Minus 150. He averages 22.5. We're going to go Siakam 6 rebounds, minus 160. He averaged 6.5. And then we're going to go Siakam 2 steals at plus 250. He's had 8 games this year, including the preseason games, in which he's had 2 steals or more. So he gets it every once in a while. Not a lot, but I just think that Toronto's going to have a monster effort tonight. So that bumps the odds way up. We're looking at a nice 10.58, 10.60, almost 11 to 1. We'll just say 10.5 to 1 price with the Raptors winning and covering all those numbers with Siakam, Dave.
I'm just glad you're breathing. That's all right now. After all of that,
I'm just choking on a cookie.
I'm just glad you're breathing. I didn't hear a word you said. I was just like, please keep talking. It sounded good. I wore the Clipper stuff. It's not personal. Good luck with your parlay. Let's leave it at that.
All right. Thanks. Hour number 2 coming up.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
right, welcome in. It's InGame Live, PrimeTime. Hour number 2 of our 2-hour extravaganza. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan until 10 p.m. Eastern Time. Cam Stewart will join us in about 40 minutes. We'll go over some football, some hockey. He's got some golf picks for this weekend as well. So he'll join us, like I said, in about 40 minutes or so. In the meantime, Dave and I checking out the little NBA, little college basketball. We got 3 hockey games, one starting in about an hour. Not a bad game, Vegas and Colorado, that will break it all down. But we're looking at some of the other things in the meantime. Dave, what's on your plate tonight?
I'm looking at these college basketball scores. Kansas is trailing UCF less than a minute to go, 57-61. They closed the 7-point favorites on the road. Looks like they may go take the L. Clemson is losing to Virginia Tech. Can't find a score right at the moment, but they're down. I like North Carolina at NC State as a road favorite. That's one of the ones that I did like. And Tennessee's down 70-72 with a minute to go as a road favorite at Mississippi State. So those were the college basketball games. We talked about it in the first hour. I thought that Detroit might be a live side tonight. I couldn't believe that San Antonio was favored on the road. Completely wrong. They're getting blown out. They're losing by 20-something. I don't know how. There's nothing you can do to help Detroit or people that bet them, but good luck. And then Minnesota-Boston. That's a big game in the NBA that, we got Minnesota leading right now in the fourth quarter. About 7 minutes to go. Another game that I don't know. You call them the teacups. You don't know. I don't think you know who they are yet, but they do have the best record in the West. And, you hinted that this could be an NBA Finals preview. You don't really think this could be an NBA Finals preview, do you?
Well, I mean, they got the 2 best records, right? I will tell you, Celtics are the favorite. This is how little the boys in Vegas think of Minnesota. Celtics the favorite, plus 310.
Right.
Nuggets plus 420. Bucks plus 460. Phoenix plus 11-1. Clippers plus 12-1. 76ers plus 12-1. Oklahoma City plus 18-1. Then it's the Minnesota Teacups at 21-1. They are the 8th highest choice or worst choice, however you want to describe it. I mean, for a team that's got the best record in the Western Conference, you're still getting them at 21-1. I mean,
well, you know why? Because this is just like we talked about also in the first hour. Who's betting them? Like, we need people to bet them to lower the price. So, we need Alabama money now today after Nick Saban retires. Nobody's going, oh, that's great. I'm going to go bet them to win a national championship. No, they're betting everybody else. Same thing's happening in the NBA championship market, right? Western Conference market. You got everybody looking for reasons to bet Denver, bet the Clippers. Still don't know why you're betting the Suns right now. We don't know who they are and what their team. They haven't played together. I would be moving that down and trying to go get some more Suns money. But Thunder, even with a better price than the Minnesota Timberwolves, I don't know, Scott. That doesn't make any sense, but it does because it's one of those ones that, 1, people don't believe it, and 2, there's guys like you calling them the teacups. And they're the Timberwolves. Show some respect, please.
Yeah. Let them get to halftime. Let them get to the by the way, the NBA cannot be too thrilled with the LA Lakers, right? They want to sell this goofy midseason tournament, right? And now, they win the midseason tournament, and I don't know if they've won a game since. I mean, they are literally, I think they're like 4-10, 4-9.
Yeah,
or
something like that. It's been bad.
And they're
awful. Really bad. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, so now if you're an NBA franchise, you're like, no, we don't want you to extend yourself, because clearly it's taking something out of the Lakers, whether it's a letdown, whether teams get pumped up the face. I don't know. It's probably just coincidence, but it's not a good look to have their in-season champ all of a sudden be fighting for a playoff spot. I'll tell you that.
Right.
How about college basketball? You think about yesterday, Dave. Number 1, Purdue loses. Number 2, yesterday, Houston loses. Number 4, Kansas is in the process of losing. And number 5, what's-his-face is in the process. Tennessee is in the process of losing.
Yeah.
Has there been 2 days, maybe a Saturday, Sunday, but I can't remember any two midweek days where you've had 4 of the top 5 ranked college basketball teams all lose if those final 2 do end up losing their games. Well, wild.
Yeah, you know what this says to me? There's guys that I know that they probably started in December, buying a portfolio of futures. They're buying, you buy 8 to 10 to 12 teams to win it all. Varying prices, varying amounts, but this is the year to do that. This feels like the year that I don't know who can win it. At this point, you're trying to take teams off the list, but I think the list of teams to win it could go as much as 10 deep, 15 deep, something like that.
Maybe. Yeah.
Maybe, the Pac-12, it's the last year for the Pac-12. I still can't believe it. There's not that many teams there, so it's Arizona and everybody else. Gonzaga's still in their conference. They're not going to lose a conference game. It's them and everybody else. Then you get into a conference like the Big 12, 6, 7
Big
teams
East.
deep. Big East has some teams, right? UConn's on the road tonight at Xavier. What time's that game start? Is that game already underway?
Underway.
That's another one.
Yeah, it's underway.
Yeah, we got to keep an eye on because they closed as 4.5-point favorites, and they're ripe to be upset. Why is playing on the road in college basketball so hard, Scott?
I think it's why I like betting on teams that play on campus and not these neutral site games or like in arenas, even though it's technically a home game. I think it's the craziness of the kids. You're playing with kids. You're not playing with 24, 25-year-old NBA players where, maybe they're used to that. It's not that big a deal. But you get a 17, 18, 19-year-old kid in front of 20,000 people, including 15,000 or at least 10,000 anyway, 5,000 college kids. Yeah, it's tough. And you're right. Well, have you ever been in these arenas, man? It is amazing NBA. Those crowds are literally like a foot from the court. It is tough. I've always said that. There should be no one within 5 feet of that court. Home court does matter when it comes to college basketball.
When you're officiating so far in your experience doing it, do you hear anything from the crowd, or are you able to just tune it out?
No, you can hear it. I'd like to say no, but there's probably 100 people versus 100,000. So, yeah, I can hear you suck, ref. Yeah, definitely. I've heard that. More coming up.
Fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, a Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev. Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I
favorite.
don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro football today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
The wife said we're getting the Stanley Cups, and now they got Stanley Cups in West Virginia.
Yep. They're doing $300 million gross a year in sales.
Listen, man, we don't need that much, man.
They're crushing
I'll take
it.
a little piece of the Stanley Cup. I would drink from the Stanley Cup every day. I'll have inscribed on there. We'll get our BVB inscribed.
Yeah.
Stanley Cups.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12, who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
What did you think when you saw Lawrence on 3rd and 4th down, those two plays?
When you have a meltdown like the Jaguars had, the clear favorite coming into the season, we all know that, and they choke like they did, and they have this fall like they did, people are going to question what's wrong with Trevor Lawrence. He had a regression. Not a major one, but he was not as good as last season. What's happened to the play calling?
Pharrell Coast to Coast, only on SportsGrid.
Yay, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
InGame Live, PrimeTime, only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Primetime, hour number 2. Scott Wetzel and Dave Sharapan getting set to break down all the games here. Let me ask you real quickly, Dave, we were talking about, Final Four teams in college basketball, but we do have the NFL playoffs started this weekend, obviously. So I consider you now the expert since you cashed your Texas Rangers, Arizona Diamondbacks World Series mix and match ticket. Are you going to mix and match Super Bowl previews? And if so, which teams are you going to include?
I feel like you're like Cam likes to say, reading my mail. I was out today picking up all the different prices and the sheets, and after the show tonight, going to sit down and try to map out the path and try to price them out and see where we're at, so I can try to get this stuff at least take the early positions before Super Wild Card weekend and get the teams that I think are going to advance, because the prices only go down. So, if you think that Miami can beat Kansas City, you got to get the Miami tickets now because they get drastically cut in half. So if you find the teams there's value on, and then you go from there. So there's the prices right there for the Super Bowl. That's just to win, not over any team specific. There's still value in some of those too. I don't know yet. I have to really look at it, but I'm really thinking that the Eagles win this week, and it's only going to lead me to disaster because I'm probably going to end up with some Eagles tickets, whether they're the loser with the AFC team that I pick, or maybe take a shot with some crazy prices on them to actually beat the Ravens, or to beat Buffalo, or to beat, dare I say, Cleveland. Those tickets will be 3 figures minimum on there. This week, they're 3-point favorites now, 43.5. Here's the quarterback, Scott. You see anything there? I mean, when I look at that, I think interception. I think we'll be talking about, right? I think both to throw a pick maybe Monday night. What do you think about when you see that graphic?
Yeah. It's weird. And they got the tough spot, right? They're playing Monday night, which means they're going to be playing next week, whoever wins, on short rest. Both, no matter who it is going to be on the road. You're going to be facing San Francisco, so more than likely anyway. The one tough thing about what you want to try and do with the football is you do reseed. So it's not like, okay, if 6 was to upset, or 7 was to upset 2 this weekend, they get into that number 2 slot. No, they don't. The 7 would then have to play the number 1 seed. If they knock off the number 1, they get the number 1 slot. No, then they would have to face the next highest team. So it would be really hard for a team that's seeded 5, 6, or 7 to make it to the Super Bowl, right?
This is the problem. This is what makes the baseball with the path already defined. I thought an easier handicap where you look at the playoff bracket for the NFL. A great job by the boys here with the graphic with that logo, that Vegas logo. I got I got hats. I got all kind of stuff working, boys. It's going to be all over the place here in town. It already is. I got a guy for everything. Got a guy for Super Bowl merch too. Anyhow, it makes it really hard because if the bottom seed wins that first game, right, their reward is going to play the number one seed on a bye.
On the road.
At their place. Everything is set up against it, where I think the baseball is the most equitable. I mean, if you win your series, it's a 3-game series for everybody. You get to go play the 5-game series against whomever it is you're already matched up against. And then if you win that, you get a 7-game series, which I think more often than not, the favorite wins, the better team wins. But if the better team is the lower seed because they're playing better right now, they can win that. The 1 game and the reseed makes the NFL exacta handicap much harder than it was for the baseball one.
Yeah. They don't want underdogs. It's a serious, NCAA tournament, loves the Cinderella story to a certain extent. Hockey, they're all even anyway. Basketball, It's tough just because the better teams are just so much better than the other teams. You're not going to beat those better teams 4 times out of 7 games. In football, you could because it's just 1 game. But they, do they want the Tampa Bay Buccaneers somehow or another sneaking into a Super Bowl? Heck no. Do they want, even pick any other team that really is not a high team? Do they want them going? No, they don't want them going to the Super Bowl. They want the best teams there. That's how they promote it. So it would be tough. If I gave you San Fran, I'll start in the NFC. San Fran or the field, NFC. What side you bet? Even money each way.
I think I'd bet San Fran. Only because if I have to choose between the others, I'd rather take a shot at the plus 950 and take Detroit. I don't think I'm getting enough with the field because I really only think it can be legitimately 3 teams, right? Dallas, Detroit, or the Rams.
Yeah.
I really think the Rams could go win at Detroit. So that path is defined by those teams, right? Detroit and LA play. One of them goes home, one of them moves on. So you can't have them both. So but I like the prices on those teams to win the NFC. So I think I would take the San Francisco in that spot. But in the AFC, I would take the field.
Over Baltimore?
I really like Baltimore. They've been the most dominant team. They've earned their number 1 spot. But their path, if Cleveland wins, which they're small favorites against Houston, if Cleveland wins and the other 2 top seeds win, Buffalo and Kansas City go play each other. Baltimore gets Cleveland. That's no bargain. Then, if they beat Cleveland with the whole Flacco return and all this other stuff, they get to go. They got to have Buffalo or Kansas City come in and beat them.
Yeah.
That's a hard 2-game parlay, right? I feel like what if Tampa wins against Philadelphia? Tampa's going to San Francisco. They're 10 to 13-point dogs, right?
Easily.
Not that it's an easy game, but it's a big number. I mean, they were 13 in the season. Now they got a week rest, and they're going to be at least that number. So San Francisco, their 2-game parlay a little bit easier than Baltimore's.
Yeah. Kind of reminds me what they used to do with the Dookie Pukies. They first off, they'd give them the easiest region by far. Then they would yell and scream about that. And then they said, all right, you know what we'll do? We'll put 10 good teams or 8 good teams in with Duke in the, we'll just say, East region. But they would put the 8 really good teams on the other side of the East region.
Yeah.
So they're
Yeah.
really only facing one of those in the Eastern Conference Finals. But they would say, oh, yeah, look at all those great teams that Duke is in their region. Yeah, but again, as you pointed out, they're only facing one of them because Duke's on the other
Right.
half facing the Topeka High 12 times.
Which makes the path that much harder. By the time they get to them, they're worn out, tired, beat up, all that other
Right.
stuff, especially in the football, right?
Right.
Did you apply to Duke and not get in? Like, why do you always take shots at the Dookie Pukies, you call them? And I feel like you've got something against Duke. Am I right? What happened there?
I did bet on them against UNLV many moons ago when they lost by about 50 in the NCAA championship game. But no, it's not. That was a nice bet. No, it's just Coach K being the fraud that he is. You know, the leader of men and all this other mumbo jumbo. He's doing his goofy American Express commercial. Meanwhile, he's as crooked as the next guy. Come on, please.
Oh my.
Yeah.
What's happening right now?
I used to root for the Leitner teams, though. I did, I love those teams.
Yeah.
It's from that point on, I did. Yeah. Back in.
It's a lot of fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev. Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I don't care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro football today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
The wife said we're getting the Stanley Cups, and now they got Stanley Cups in West Virginia.
Yep. They're doing $300 million gross a year in sales.
Listen, man, we don't need that much, man.
They're crushing
I'll take
it.
a little piece of the Stanley Cup. I would drink from the Stanley Cup every day. I'll have inscribed on there. We'll get our BVB inscribed.
Yeah.
Stanley Cups.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
What did you think when you saw Lawrence on 3rd and 4th down, those two plays?
When you have a meltdown like the Jaguars had, the clear favorite coming into the season, we all know that, and they choke like they did, and they have this fall like they did, people are going to question what's wrong with Trevor Lawrence. He had a regression. Not a major one, but he was not as good as last season. What's happened to the play calling?
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Yay, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
InGame Live, PrimeTime. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back in Game Live, Primetime, hour number 2. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan, 25 past the hour. Got a couple more basketball finals rolling in. College basketball. Yep, Kansas did go down. Tennessee went down. Tennessee game went over. I love the under. They had 57 points at halftime. The over-under was 136.5, which I thought was high to begin with, but we only had 57 points at halftime. Looking golden, right? Until they scored 92 points in the second half, the game flew over. But you had the top four of the top 5 teams that played today and yesterday lost. And then you had another team ranked 21st, who was it, West Virginia, losing earlier. Was it West Virginia or whoever it was? Who was it?
Tennessee
Clemson, to Virginia Tech.
Clemson lost to Virginia Tech, yep.
Yeah. So not a good week for ranked teams, whether you're in the top 5 or anywhere. It's amazing. We'll see how North Carolina does as they play NC State here. And you got Oklahoma early on against TCU.
They're up 41-35, 14-29 left. So they're up right now. In-game numbers minus 450. I'm on North Carolina, so I'll be watching that the rest of the way here. What conference do you think right now? And I know, like, you're getting into the college basketball, but like, what conference is the best conference? I think for me right now, it's the Big 12. But Kansas losing, that argument's going to go away. I just think they're the deepest conference. The SEC, Tennessee, Kentucky, okay. The Big East has some nice names: Marquette, Creighton. The Big Ten, Providence. Purdue lost to Nebraska yesterday. It's the first time Nebraska beat a ranked team in forever. Nebraska's having a really good season. Sneaky play at home, especially if they're getting points. They've been really good. Fred Hoiberg's got the program back on the right track, apparently. Did you know that Nebraska's never won an NCAA tournament game, ever?
Didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
They've been there, but they never won. Wow.
Never won a game.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I think Northwestern's the same way. I'm pretty sure Northwestern's the same way. They never won.
Really?
Yeah. So, you think somewhere along the line Nebraska.
Were the Salukis good when you were there?
Yes. In fact, they made the NCAA tournament a couple of times when I was there. So
really,
no superstar players.
Right.
I'm trying to remember if they had anybody that go to the NBA or not. Don't know if they did, but we had Matt Painter was there. Well, this was after me, but Painter was there, and who was the guy before him that used to coach at Kansas State? He's the one that kind of started it all. I forget his name. Good coach. He was at Kansas State. He was at Illinois.
Okay. I can't remember.
Yeah,
we'll have to look.
But they were pretty good. They made the NCAA tournament a couple times.
It's fun when you're at school and the team makes it, especially when you don't expect to make it. I was at Penn State, and they were in the A-10 when I started there, and they ended up going to the Big Ten while I was there. And I remember when they switched conferences, the Penn State football team was independent forever, and they went to the Big Ten, and you thought it was the end of the world. I mean, the people that were Penn State fans for life were like, how could we be joining a conference? Like, all this stuff. And, like, now teams are picking up and leaving. We got the West Coast teams, USC, UCLA, are going to be in the Big Ten now. They're blowing up these other conferences, all this other stuff. So, tell people all the time, like, relax. They'll figure it out. But Penn State made the tournament. I thought it was a huge accomplishment. It was a big deal. We got to play UCLA, a real basketball school, and beat them. And I was running around the dorms going, we Penn State basketball won. Nobody cared. Couldn't believe it. You want to talk about a football school? They did not care at all. Bruce Parkhill was the coach. You have to Google that, look that up. Greg Bartram was a guard who just kept hitting threes and on this road to actually getting to the second round of the basketball tournament. I'll tell you what, getting through the first weekend and then having a whole nother week to talk about it, there's not much more fun than that as a college kid. That's fun. That's fun. Win 2 games, fun.
Yeah, that would be cool. That's the nirvana. For the smaller teams, that's your championship. Winning one is great, but getting to that next week, and that's when all the fun really begins. So I can't believe some of these websites. Listen, I know you got to come up with material, but some of these sites are giving mock bracketology, who's in, who's out. It's like, come on, we barely started conference play. We got half the season. You're trying to figure out where, which teams are in and where they're going to be seeded. I mean, really. Anyway, got a couple NBA games here. Got to tip off in a little bit. To throw that out there for the folks. How about Denver laying 6.5 at Utah? We got an over/under of 238.5. I don't bet against the Jazz at home. They turned into a halfway decent team. And especially when you play a team like Denver that's used to the high altitude. They're not going to be affected by the high altitude of Utah like other clubs will. So I'm going to lay the 6.5. It's a big number, but I would lay the 6.5 with Denver.
Wow. Okay. I'll take the points with the Jazz at home. This would be one of those ones. Yeah. I just we'll take all the bets and let the chips fall where they may. Denver can blow them out. But you catch this team sometimes on the road not performing to expectations. That's I'm a little hesitant to say, yeah, just lay it. I feel much better if it was 3.5, 4. And I think you'll be able to get a much better number in game if you want to, lay the points with the Nuggets. Probably win a game, right? This isn't one of the ones. This isn't one of the ones that they lose. Like they go on the road in the cross conference games, show up in Atlanta, -4.5 or whatever. That's the game they lose, right? I don't think they lose a game, but this one might fall inside that spread number.
How about our Raptors and Clippers, Dave? That line's now up to 12. Maddie, you get a second to see if anyone's not playing for Toronto because that
must be.
That thing was 10 and a half. I mean, it has slowly but surely gone up, and it didn't go from like 10 to 12. Like if guys out, okay, we're going to jump it up. It has methodically moved up. I mean, I don't know. As we talked about, I think this is a great spot for Toronto, but clearly a lot of bettors don't think so unless we're missing out on an injury.
Yeah. I'm looking right now. I don't see anything indicating that it did. But when the line moves like that,
that's a big move, right?
Well, I mean, it's. I just hit refresh on my board over here. It's 11.5 pretty much everywhere here in Vegas. Totals down to 233.5 from a higher opener, which would indicate to me that somebody's not playing. So we'll have the boys keep checking. We'll see.
Wouldn't it be funny if Scotty Barnes wasn't playing?
Oh, no. That would mess up the same game parlay. Right?
Yeah.
We don't want that. You get the Black Cloud play tonight. You got a lot of things tied to Scotty Barnes. I hope he plays.
Yeah.
Let's hope he plays for Darko. What's he going to say?
Siakam's out. Son of a gun. Is that what it is, Matt? Siakam's out?
Siakam's out.
All right. I knew it. It had to be something. A line
had to be
like that.
It's always something.
Yeah.
It's always something. So.
All right. That messes up the same game parlay. Keeps our now. Maybe that's why they bumped Scotty Barnes up to 19.5 without Siakam.
Aha.
They figure, all right, someone's got to pick up the scoring. It's all starting to make sense now.
Yeah. Now it makes sense. That's fine. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. Well, listen.
Let me see with my offshore book that I find. Let's see what they have him listed at now. Siakam or Barnes. Barnes they have down. They have him listed even. Yeah, they still got Siakam listed. You sure he's out? Yeah.
Confirmed.
They got Barnes listed as 19.5. And for the game, let's see what they got for the game.
I'm looking at the NBA while you're looking at that. I'm looking at the other in-game numbers. 117 tied Minnesota and the Celtics. If this is a finals preview, this is a really good game. Tied 117, 3 minutes to go in overtime. Of course, the Hawks are now leading the Sixers, 108-104. 8 minutes left there. You can take 4.5 with the Sixers or even plus 250 on the money line. OKC Thunder continue to get people to the window. It's 112
There
to
you go.
103. Yeah, right there. Barnes's number, I've been informed from our esteemed producer in the back and research department, Matty G. It's up to 20.5 on the Barnes prop,
Wow.
and now it just moved to 19.5. So they're playing with the number. It's one of those situations when you're in the book and you're like, man, why didn't you tell us he wasn't playing before? Now at least we got an hour. The game doesn't tip until 7:40 Pacific, 10:40 Eastern. So you have
it's a late
time to
start.
figure out what you want to bet, but that number's going to move. It's going to be all over the place.
I don't like betting. Like, I don't think guys score more because other guys aren't playing. I think it throws it out of whack. I think there's too much emphasis on that. You know, a lot of times it's like,
100%.
okay, we don't have to worry about the other guy now. Now we can concentrate on you. Now we can put our best defender on you, Scotty Barnes, and not have to worry about Siakam. But they end up bumping those other guys' numbers up, right?
Yeah. So you'd be good in the risk room because you wouldn't move the numbers when you're supposed to. That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Yeah, I would. All right, Cam Stewart coming up next.
Coming.
It's a lot of fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, a Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev. Go run, run, run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
So right now, we saw a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
I don't
favorite.
care if they win because all we care about is the money, baby. The money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
The wife said we're getting the Stanley Cups, and now they got Stanley Cups in West Virginia.
Yep. They're doing $300 million gross a year in sales.
Listen, man, we don't need that much, man.
They're crushing
I'll take
it.
a little piece of the Stanley Cup. I would drink from the Stanley Cup every day. I'll have inscribed on there. We'll get our BVB inscribed.
Yeah.
Stanley Cups.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
What did you think when you saw Lawrence on 3rd and 4th down, those two plays?
When you have a meltdown like the Jaguars have, the clear favorite coming into the season, we all know that, and they choke like they did, and they have this fall like they did, people are going to question what's wrong with Trevor Lawrence. He had a regression. It's not a major one, but he was not as good as last season. What's happened to the play calling?
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Yay, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
InGame Live, PrimeTime. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, welcome back. In-game live, prime time, hour number 2, 40 past the hour. Scott Wetzel, Dave Sharapan, joined now by our good buddy who takes over top of the hour with Gabe Morency, Mr. Cam Stewart's got a little golf picks. He's got some NHL. No doubt we'll touch on the NFL and get his thoughts, obviously, with Nicky Quick leaving and Alabama. So what's going on, Cam? How are you tonight, bud?
First of all, Scott, let's just say this. The skies have parted. The dark cloud is gone to another community. Nothing but rays of sunshine with the flames coming back last night.
Yes.
Don't worry. Light your Bic. Light that lighter. There you go. That's more of a flame. Give me a flame. Yeah, usually these guys are like a candle flame. They were like an inferno last night in the third period. Scott, great. Okay, when we lose, we come back swinging. Nebraska, outright. Arizona Coyotes, big pooch down 1. They come back and your flames. No dark clouds. So let's go. Let's have another good night. And, golf picks galore tonight. We'll go through some NFL. Brady Cannon, who hit a 70-1 second place guy, will join me and Morency 10:10 Eastern. He'll break down his golf picks and some NFL, too. So hopefully somebody on the grid will make some money. We did well with our top 5s and 10s and 20s. Just a second and a third place golfer. Didn't have the winner last week.
That's fine.
All right, that's okay.
That's okay. Yep. The black cloud tonight, boys, if you got it handy, just show Cam what it is because it is kind of pertinent. Put that up there, if you could. Little Raptor action.
Well, the rainbow pot of gold pick of the night. Black cloud, me. That's the gold pick of gold. That's the Irish leprechaun. End of the rainbow, Scott. I'm with you, buddy. Barnes over. He was a one-man wrecking crew last night. If not for those chump refs, don't worry about it. He gets the bulk of the load for Toronto. I know the Clippers. These guys are on a back-to-back. They're getting 10 points. I don't know what's going to happen tonight. All I know is Barnes, this guy's a young guy. He'll take the team on his back, Scott. I like the pick. I think he's good for probably around 24 to 26 tonight.
Oh, there you go.
Right. I mean, he's hit this number, Cam, 8 of his last 9 games, 16 of his last 19. I mean, and now you got the coach calling out the officials. So you got to believe he's going to get every break in the book, right? I mean, and we find out now supposedly no Pascal Siakam, so that's going to help his cause, I suppose, a little. I mean, I don't know how this misses. I really, he averages over 20.5 anyway. So they're giving us a number. It's 19.5 now, but still, that's still below his average after the head coach challenged the officials not to call fouls against him. I mean, he's going to be at the limit at the free throw line, right, tonight?
I don't know. To be honest with you, Scott, it might backfire. The refs might just say, screw this team, and we're going to even make it worse for them. I have no idea what's going to happen. Like, I can tell you one thing. I think that refereeing in the Laker game, we don't want to bring up refereeing and officials and whatever, but that was to a new level of poor last night. Like, how does a team get 23 free throws to your 2? 23-2 in the fourth. Was it 24-2? 23-2. Whatever it was ridiculous. Yeah, 23-2. Scott, have you ever seen that? You ref. That's almost impossible to make that happen. Like, you know what I mean? Like, by laws of averages, even like 23-8 or something. Like, two times. It was unbelievable, man. These guys are at the line every time. AD's like elbowing guys. He's getting away with it. Whatever. I just, it's going to be tough for these guys on the back-to-back. But, guys, we have Ron Rubbers back in the house. Dave, your Vegas Golden Knights and the Colorado Avalanche. Let's take a look at this one tonight, guys. No black cloud here. We're going to go over 6.5 in this game. I usually wanted to, basically, Colorado games are sailing over. Vegas, these guys can score. Colorado, they got goaltending and the defensive problems right now. I see a 4-3, 5-4 type of game. I like over, Dave, and I'm taking your dog. Give me Vegas as a plus money pooch tonight in Colorado with wouldn't even be surprised if this one was the Babano special regulation tie. That's something you could look at too. I expect a pretty tight game, 4-3, 5-4 overtime, something along those lines. I see some goals, and I like the price with the Vegas Golden Knights, guys. You don't get Vegas as a dog that often in Colorado. They're beatable. You can beat this team right now.
Yeah.
They did win their last time out.
Yeah, they did.
The Islanders.
Yeah. That's I'm worried about
what
that.
What did Vegas beat the Islanders? 5-2? 5-2 they won, right? Vegas beat the Islanders 5-2, yeah. They're scoring goals. Yeah. I like Vegas tonight.
Where do you want to take this? You want to take it to the golf, or do you want to take it to the football?
Hey, dealer's choice. You and Wetzel, you guys are the dealers. I'm the player at the table. You did just shuffle me in. Two squares, please, sir. Yeah, the blackjack.
Do you like? Let me ask you about Toronto. Let me go back for that for a second. Do you like the Raptors? The line's up to 12 in some circles.
Yes.
We're being told no Siakam tonight, but I'm thinking after the coach's tirade camp, they got to have a monster effort tonight. No.
Well, here's the thing, Scott. You can also look at Barnes and look at other secondary scorers on that team. Barrett's going to have to put the ball in the basket quickly. He's been good for them too. Maybe a real sneaky one like a Thaddeus Young. You can get a real low total with him. That's the thing. Siakam takes a bulk of like the shots for these guys, but Barnes is going to be the main guy, and I'm thinking Barrett's going to probably step up tonight too. He's got to score the basketball. But yeah, Scott, I'm not going to advise anybody take the Toronto Raptors on a back-to-back against a very good Clippers team. Kawhi got his extension today, so that's kind of interesting little lineage there with the Raptors and Clippers. But it's too many points. In my opinion, I think the Clippers are probably going to win by like 6 to 8. It seems like a big number to me. I'm playing the Raptors. Maybe this coaching stuff works. Maybe it backfires. Who knows what the hell's going on, but that's a lot of points.
Touch on a little bit. We talked about it earlier. Pete Carroll stepped down. He's no longer the coach of your Seattle Seahawks. It's an end of an era as a Seattle fan. How do you feel about that? And then Saban, a little bit later, he's done. And then tomorrow, Belichick's going to say, he's done. But like Carroll stepping down or them mutually agreeing to be done, how's that affect Seattle?
I got to be honest with you, Dave. It's time. And I will not take anything away from what Pete Carroll did. We got a Super Bowl. Probably could have got a couple others. That New England game lingers. The Pittsburgh game could have gone differently. But, hey, Dave, your team got the Super Bowl there. We got one. So when I talk to Bills fans who have 0, I got 1. I'm happy with that one. Beating the crap out of Denver, that Super Bowl was amazing. It was one of the best days ever. Like, it was so fantastic. Everybody was on Denver, too, except for me and Billy the doorman. Like, we cleaned up. That was a great day. One of the best days financially of my life. Pete Carroll, let's talk about him. This guy, good cheerleader, good motivator. The game's kind of passed him by. They need to get somebody in there that's a little bit more freewheeling. They need a new coordinator, too. Guys, I'm sick and tired of this run, pass stuff with Seattle. It's been going on for years. They got to adapt to the new NFL and come up with some wrinkles. They're a very predictable offense teams know what they're coming, like what they're bringing all the time. You got Smith and Jigba, Lockett, and Metcalf as your receiving core. Let's go. Walker, maybe run on third down instead of first and second all the time. Mix it up. They're talking about Dan Quinn, who was their defensive coordinator before. I don't know. But I'm going to say this. I'm not sure if I want a defensive coordinator as the coach. I need a guy with an offensive mind with the weapons that they have in this team. The running backs are decent with Charbonnet and Walker. Right, guys? And Geno Smith had a down year. But I think Pete, good run, 14 years. He was fantastic, good guy, but it's time. It's time to move on. You got to retire. Somebody else needs to get in there. This team needs an infusion of new blood. As for Saban, that's kind of wild. I thought, did you guys see this one coming with Saban? I thought he was good for another couple of years, but we'll see. It was a crazy day today.
Yeah, what do you make of that? I mean, that was a surprise, right? I mean,
Saban's a football lifer. I think that loss to Michigan, he's just thinking like the SEC's kind of, when you really think about it, where's the action at, guys? It's with the Big Ten. Washington's coming in there. Michigan's coming in there. What is, the SEC's got a couple things going on. I think Saban just looked at things and go, what is the state of college football? I've done basically everything I have done in my career. I know he probably wanted 1 or 2 more, but man, that guy's going to get booth gigs. He's so set up, guys. And you know what? Sometimes it's just retire. You do your podcast, have fun. And, I don't know who's going to coach that team, but it's just going to be weird looking at the sideline with no Nick Saban there. But, hey, these guys are packing in today. And, there's a second part of your life after football, retirement. But he'll probably be thinking football every day of his life, like we do gambling.
Right. All right. Football Saturday. All right. Cleveland, Houston, Miami, KC.
Okay.
Chalk. Favorite.
No.
Split.
Dog.
Outright.
No, just points. I'll probably have to sprinkle on Houston at 2.5. People like Cleveland in this game. Don't sleep on Houston. Scott's right, too. If you do a teaser, 9.5 to 37.5 over, I'm into that. I think there's going to be points in that game. As for Miami, I don't care about the cold, all this other BS. Here's the deal. I don't think the Chiefs can cover 4. I'm worried about the injuries with Miami. I think they're going to come up with a game plan. It's very simple, guys. How do you beat the Chiefs? Miami has a better, their running game is good. You got Mostert and a chain. They're good guys. They're good backs. Tyreek Hill returning to the scene of the crime. Dave, I might be crazy, but people are just laying it down with Kansas City. I'm going to take the 4 with Miami. I think it's going to be a tight game. I don't care. I know the weather is going to be cold, but you know what? Miami players, some of them played at cold weather schools, and some Chiefs played you know what I mean? It's like, I think we overemphasize this stuff. I know Miami's records are abysmal. Like, I look at the stats and they're really bad with the cold weather, but it's time for 2 of these guys to step up. I'll take 4. That Cleveland game is very hard, though. I'm not going to lie. You tease the dog in that game because I think it's going to be a field goal game. I think teasers are in play, guys.
I just don't see Miami winning the game, Cam. And I'm a Dolphins fan. They couldn't beat them in perfect conditions over in Europe. Only put 14 points on the board. Shut out in the first half completely. Tua couldn't handle a snap from center when it was 75 degrees. How's he going to handle? You're right. All the other players may have played in cold weather, but when your quarterback comes from Hawaii and has never played in cold weather, has problems throwing the ball more than 15 yards down the field anyway.
You're right.
I just think I just don't see how that Miami offense is going to move
they win
against
by more
a pretty
than 4?
good Kansas City defense.
What's your score? I kind of lean
I
under.
think it's going to be like 30-7. I think it's going to be one-sided.
30-7? You think about like the Chiefs just put these guys in a chokehold and strangle them?
Yes.
Holy geez, Dave.
Yes.
Wetzel. Yeah. Well, I don't know if that's a dark cloud, Wetzel. That's a bold damn prediction.
They haven't beaten any good teams, Cam. Outside of Dallas, they haven't beaten any good teams. They don't win on the road, and they don't win in cold weather. I mean, how many more when Kansas City wins 30-7, you're going to be like, how many things have to hit me on top of my head for me to realize this Dolphin team sucks?
The Chiefs had problems with the Bengals, like at the end of the year when they needed to win the game. Like in the fourth quarter, they battled everybody this year. They can't pull away from teams. I trust your fish. You're going to lose by 3 if you lose, Wetzel, and win by the hook or 1 point. So golf picks, Sony Open, full field event. What do we got? We got themes, ladies and gentlemen. And I saw Brady Cannon's picks. He's got themes. You know what? I got Georgia Bulldogs. Who won last week? Captain Kirk, Chris Kirk, Georgia Bulldog. Let's roll with the little man. Brian Harmon, 22-1. Love the little lefty that could. Matt Fitzpatrick. Don't let this kid fool you. He looks like, you would ID him for cigarettes and beer. He's an absolute killer on a short track, 18-1. What else do we got? We got some good friends. Oh, our old friend, Eric Cole. This guy's going to win 1 week, and if I'm not on him, I'm going to go bananas. 2 bombs, Tom Hoagie Sandwich and Justin USC Trojan there. So he's been close before. He'll play well on a short course like the Sony Open. So those are my picks for the golf guys. And, I'm not sure if we got top 10 and 20 boards. I'll give them to you if you want them. But first round leaders, here we go.
Let's go.
Top 10, Brian Harmon plus 230, play it. Matthew Fitzpatrick plus 190, play it. Now we got top 20s. Corey Connors, the Canadian, plus 170. Brendan Todd, another Georgia Bulldog. Andrew Putnam, a master of courses under 7,100 yards, plus 220. And one of the young studs on tour, Ashke Batia. Watch out for this kid. He's going to be a household name very soon, plus 240. Scott, this one's for us, me, you, and Dave, the old man team. Give me Stuart Sink. He's 54. I don't care. Top 40 plus 250. The Sink man. Put it in the sink. And Nate Lashley. I got a Nate Lashley addiction at plus 240 for a top 40. Let's roll.
There you
nice
go.
Work.
That's what I like.
Nice work.
Good job, Cam. Good luck with your picks. See you top of the hour.
There you go.
Fun to do because you could kind of, place a season-long bet all at once and just wait it out. I've always found that interesting. But New York is one state where it's a little bit unclear.
You cannot bet on basically anything that requires a vote. So you're talking about an MVP award, a Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, anything where people at the end of the year have to vote.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Quarterback at quarterback. We're going to lay some juice. We're going to have some dog prices, and we're going to go right in the middle.
Because I don't know what they're doing. To me, they're in a complete rebuild, Kev. Go run. That's where overbackers on this 51.5 shot.
Right now, he's a little bit more over money, but it's hovering right around.
The winner of this game will be the division
favorite. I don't care if they win, because all we care about is the money, baby, the money.
Pro Football Today. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid. The Bostonian versus the Book.
The wife said we're getting the Stanley Cups, and now they got Stanley Cups in West Virginia.
Yep. They're doing $300 million gross a year in sales.
Listen, man, we don't need that much, man.
They're crushing
I'll take
it.
a little piece of the Stanley Cup. I would drink from the Stanley Cup every day. I'll have inscribed on there. We'll get our BVB inscribed.
Yeah.
Stanley Cups.
The Bostonian versus the Book.
That tells you how good this league is. Jeff, you're mine. Big 12. Who's the team to beat?
Well, it's always Kansas. I don't care who comes in the league. And I love Kelvin Sampson, what he's done at Houston. I don't care. So Marquette, to me, is the best backcourt in the country. Tyler Kolek's the best point guard. Cam Jones is an elite scorer who just plays with such a good pace, and he's so smart.
Betting above the rim. Only on SportsGrid.
What did you think when you saw Lawrence on 3rd and 4th down, those two plays?
When you have a meltdown like the Jaguars have, the clear favorite coming into the season, we all know that, and they choke like they did, and they have this fall like they did, people are going to question what's wrong with Trevor Lawrence. He had a regression. It's not a major one, but he was not as good as last season. What's happened to the play calling?
Pharrell Coast to Coast. Only on SportsGrid.
Yay, congratulations, but the game was over at that point, so another one of those terrible beats. If you had 3.5, 4, even 4.5, this was a 10-point game until the final closing seconds.
InGame Live, PrimeTime. Only on SportsGrid.
SportsGrid, the only streaming sports betting network. Tips, info, and insights to up your IQ. It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, wrapping up shop here, hour number 2. A couple of things here before we let you go. First up, Dave, tomorrow this time, I'll be working with you again, filling in for Ranieri, who's doing game time decisions. Will we have a pretty good idea who the next Alabama head coach will be?
No. That'll be all speculation.
Will Bill Belichick? Will we be talking about Bill Belichick resigning or being fired?
I think in speculation terms. I think so. But I heard today that they're talking about Washington, Atlanta, all these other jobs are coming up. I thought he was coming out west. I don't think he's coming out west. I think he's going he may be going, somewhere on the East Coast. So I don't think they're going to do it yet. I think that may be enough right now. The NFL is going to focus on the games Thursday and Friday, and then we'll have all that other information next week. Or I could be completely wrong, and Belichick's, done. We'll know that Sarkisian's going to just bolt Texas and be the coach at Bama. And if you were to coach at Oregon, would you take the Alabama job?
He's got a pretty good thing up in Oregon. He's going, as you mentioned, to the Big Ten. It's Alabama. If they were going to give you a lot more money, which they probably wouldn't give you a lot more, right? Oregon with Nike there. With the quarterbacks being, I probably would, Dave. Honestly, I probably would. Now that three teams maybe from your conference are going to get into the playoffs, you don't have to win it anymore. With the expanded postseason next year. Yeah, you'd have
Travel's way less.
Alabama.
Travel's way less.
Alabama.
Way less.
Oh, way less. Now,
Yeah.
Right now they're in the Big Ten. Yeah.
Right.
Who the hell wants to do that?
I don't know. I told you before, I don't want to be the guy that follows the guy. I want to be the guy that followed the guy that followed the guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
The second guy.
Yep.
Much better. This first one's tough.
All right, let's go Scotty Barnes tonight. That's
Scotty
the big
Barnes.
play. Dave, we'll talk to you tomorrow.